Hello everybody, Glass Half Dead here, and today we are going to explore the myriad depths of Tau with Eric, Ulrich, Utical. We'll call him Utical. Utical, do you want to say hi?
Hello.
Thank you. Now, I believe just before we started recording, what you had just told me is that you would like everybody, before we get into this, to like and subscribe to this channel. You can deny that, but I will edit it out of this video, so it's fine. Anyway, Utical, why are you on here?
I'm on here because of Kill Team. I'm assuming partially because I placed second at BAO, so some of what I have to say has some proof of it working because it beat some teams at a tournament. And then yeah, just because I love your channel. Like you said, like and subscribe, but honestly, this is your channel. Your videos is kind of what got me into Kill Team and got me to want to play competitively. So
So things are coming full circle for you almost. You saw my channel, you started to play, and now you're on the channel. The student has become the master. You
yeah,
what
it's
one could
pretty
say.
exciting.
One could say.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So firstly, this is going to be very clear from the thumbnail and the title, I'm sure. But you were playing Tau, right?
Yep.
Excellent. Now, not everybody's going to know what BAO is. So to very quickly run down for that, give us a hint of why we should like that, what you've won.
Okay. Bay Area Open. So you guys know about. I'm assuming if you watch this channel, you've talked to people who did the TOs and the winner of or the second runner up of Las Vegas Open. It's run by the same guys, Frontline Gaming, and the same TO from LVO, Alex, who you've had on. He was the TO of this event as well. Kill Team Academy, and yeah, it was a big tournament up in San Francisco. Along with they had their regular 40K and Age of Sigmar and all that going on, part of the Kubla Khan convention, and yeah, so it was. I mean, I guess the most recent big tournament for Kill Team.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And so I guess great. Let's jump into it. So because I haven't really covered Tau on this channel outside of an amazing lore video, um, the question comes down to what are Tau? This might sound like a very basic and stupid question, but understand that obviously I do get a lot of beginners on this channel. So let's just start with the basics, I feel.
Um, they're the worst, best shooting army out there.
That's a very good way of putting it. Yeah, fair enough.
They have
But
I was just gonna say they have some of the best guns, rail rifles, and their base guns are strength 5. No AP, but still strength 5 is really good. They've got assault weapons that have that strength 5. They've got some really big benefits, but they're all hitting on 4s or worse if people are obscured or whatever. So
yes,
yeah,
yeah, they're all BS4 apart from your drones that are BS5, right?
yeah, BS5. So if they advance, if they're shooting at somebody who's obscured, or they have
Sixes.
a flesh wound or anything like that, you're basically flying orcs at that point. So
Ugh, orcs.
yeah. But I
Yeah.
mean, hey, a flying orc is better than a regular orc. Well, I guess that's not 100% true because a regular orc can get into melee and do some damage. So,
Yes. Tau not known for their melee capability, I'd probably say.
yeah, weapon skill of 5. Although I will admit, in one of my games, the one against the Tyrnid player, he had a Ravener. He had a Ravener miss, I think, all 4 or 5 attacks on me,
Oh,
and my drone got in a flesh wound on him.
ooh,
So,
very
yeah,
nice, very nice. That's the kind of thing the greater good likes to see. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we're not going to go too basic, right? We know what fire warriors are, we know what drones are, but actually, maybe we don't know what drones are because there's like 60 of them. Um, First, let's hear what was on your roster because I think that's always interesting.
Okay. So obviously lots of drones. As That's the current meta right now is the drone spam for Tau. That's kind of the way to go. I've met a few other people who play them differently, who put more stock in the regular troops, but I've altered my list a little bit since BAO for Arena specifically to have one or two regular Pathfinders to open doors, because I found that being an issue because drones can't open doors. Yeah, so I had a Crute leader, which is a good cheap leader option, 6 points. That's kind of what who you had on here before. Eric talked about. He ran a Crute leader with 2 rail rifles, and then that's 30 points, leaving you 70 points for 10 drones, basically. Which is, I mean, that's a good list. It works. Honestly, you don't need the rails to even be specialists. Demolitions is all right, but you know, if you get that 6 on wounding and it gives you, it'd be on a 5 or a 6, you'd get the mortal wound. It, takes you away from the damage 3, which is nice,
One
especially on a
sec there, one sec. You'll say you can mortal wound on a 5?
Isn't that I'm pretty sure. Is that not? I'm pretty sure that was the nerf to the rail finder from the demolitions change. Or the mortal wound change when they did the errata, because it gives you a boost to your you wound. It gives you a bonus to wounding on obscured.
Oh.
So you'd get the 6 on the 6 for the mortal wound on the 5 or the 6. I don't think it's a.
Okay,
I can pull it up.
I had assumed that was an unmodified roll, but
You
fair
know what? I
enough.
could be. I could
Oh,
have already, shown myself to be an imposter here and a fake
well,
that I don't even know the rule correctly. But I
that
remember
could well
that being a
be.
big thing. What people talked about, how that was a nerf
Okay,
to the rail. The rail gun was the change, but I could be wrong.
well,
So
I mean, we all know the rules pretty well until it comes to those little obscure things. For example, I'm about to ask you how the hell Savior Protocols works because I've never had to go against it. So,
uh, it's amazing. But yeah, so it says here for each wound roll of 6 plus made for this weapon, no unmodified. So it's just 6
okay,
plus. So on a
all right,
5 or a 6, you're losing out on possibly 2 more injury dice with the D3 damage on the rail rifle. So
okay.
anyways, so the list, yeah, Crute leader. I had 3 rail rifles. One of them was comms. One of them was I did take the demolitions, and I had a sniper as well. Mind you, again, well, not again. I said it in the Discord, but the list was not optimized. It was what I had, and it was kind of what I had a chance to test and play with. Before the tournament, I had only been able to play, I think, 3 or 4 games of Arena. And it was literally the weekend before I went to a store in Burbank, where Beer Nid plays, and played some games in a small tournament there. I had just not had a chance. My buddy who got me into the game lives in San Francisco, so we played some on Tabletop Simulator. I went to the local store and played a few games, but I just didn't have the practice partner or the ability to play. What do you call it? Is it solo hammer or loner hammer, or what do you call it when you play
Sad
against
hammer.
yourself? Sad hammer. Okay,
Yeah.
sad hammer. I hadn't. I don't have the patience, I guess, or the ability to sit there and do that and play against myself. I do have the models. I've got my old armies, but yeah. So those 3 rail rifles. I took 2 of the ion rifles for Pathfinders just in case I went up against Necrons, but I will never do that again. Um, Basically, it's only a -1 AP compared to the -4 of the rail rifle. And honestly, I had more reanimation rolls on single dice, single damage. I rolled 6s. I think it only happened once when I was rolling multiple dice the second day when I just took rails against him. But he made more saves with the less AP, and then he got reanimations on single dices anyway. So I figure I'd rather at least make him get that reanimation with the rail than have him save and not get to that point. Um, yeah, that's the change to the list that I've made since then. But I took, yeah, the 2 ions for Necron specifically, which I ended up using the first day and not using the second day. And then drones, recon drone, 1 shield drone, and 1 grav inhibitor drone. I used the grav inhibitor 2 or 3 times. It stopped the Gellerpox really, really hard in the first game I used it. Um, it did okay against, I think it was Heretic Astartes. I forget who the second team I used it against was.
Can you
And
explain
then
what that is,
against,
please?
oh yeah, absolutely. Sorry. Grav Inhib drone is it has no guns. It's still 7 points. All drones are 7 points. Has no guns. What it does though is any model starting a charge within 12 inches of it uh, takes a D3 modifier, negative modifier to their charge roll. So average of 2, you're taking 2 inches off of their charges basically. So it worked really well against the Gellerpox. It actually stopped him from getting in and allowed me to take out his oh man, Nightmare Hulks, I think, are the big guys,
Yeah.
right? For them, yeah. So worked really well against him. Worked pretty good against Heretic Astartes. I took it to in an attempt to stop the Howling Banshees against Oriani, but the Howling Banshees are just so crazy because you can't. A big part of Tau is Overwatch and for the greater good, and you can't even fall back. You can't react to them at all to the Howling Banshees. So yeah, I was trying to just stop her from getting in because I knew once she did, I was done for, and that's ended. That was part of why I lost. There's a number of other decisions I could have made, but um, so the Grav Inhib, Recon Drone. Recon Drone's really awesome. 7 points. Um, it has a burst cannon on it, so that's 4 shots. Has a toughness of 4, and a strength of 4, and it has 2 wounds, all for 7 points. Plus, it can buff. Mind you, you have to have a Pathfinder on the field to field it. You can't field it without a Pathfinder. And it will buff your Pathfinder models so that it negates obscurity. It gives you a +1 to hit obscured, and it gives you a +1 on your injury roll against an obscured target. So it negates obscurant for the enemy that you're trying to shoot. So you pair one of those up with a rail rifle, and then you pair a comms up with a rail rifle, and you've got them pretty boosted to try to get them down from the 4 up, which again, if obscured, would be a 5 up, or any number of things. So, um, and then I ran one stealth suit. I really do not like the stealth suit that much. I'm looking at it more now for elites because it's tankier, and maybe taking a recruit leader isn't the safest thing. Plus, if because with a flying unit, and if you put a shield drone with it, shield drones, by the way, I didn't talk about that. I said I took one. Sorry, I'm all over the place. I'll try to get more focused. Shield drones, they have an invulnerable save, and then they also have a feel no pain. So a 5 up, they don't lose their wound. So if you take one of those and then you use savior protocols, which you asked about, savior protocols is any drone within 3 inches of a infantry model can take the hits from a shot, and basically they take a mortal wound, and it negates all the shots. So like if somebody fires a frag cannon at you and they get 2d6, which would be on average, I guess, 6 shots or whatever it is. If you save your protocols, if they've got like it's so you use it once they've successfully wounded. So like this happened yesterday in my game against Deathwatch. I think he got the full 12 on the 2d6, and he wounded like 8 of them. And I was like, okay, save your protocols, and it just takes all the shots, and then the rest of them are gone. So you just take one mortal wound. Um, and of course, sometimes you lose a drone, but the idea is that the drone dies and your rail rifle survives. So, um,
And to clarify with that, do you take an armor save, or do you just say, okay, I'm not even going to try an armor save. I'm going to
oh,
put it all
it's
on the
so
drone.
it's once the wound goes through, you have
Okay,
to decide to do savior protocols or make the save. And since a Pathfinder
cool.
save is a 5 up, and
Yeah,
yeah, you're taking the savior protocol basically. Yeah, savior protocol is within 3 inches of the infantry unit. It's going to savior, and then for the greater good, which is the Overwatch benefit, is 6 inches of the model that's being charged. So
one other quick
yeah,
note is that Savior Protocols has to be done on an infantry model. Isn't that
yes, it
right?
does. And new
Yes.
crisis suits that just came out in elites are not an infantry model. So not only can they not open doors, they cannot be rescued by drones, which is a big kind of question mark for. I mean, they need to be tested. I bought them, and I'm gonna put them together and
Yeah.
test them, but it's one of those things where it's like 3 wounds sounds like it's tanky, but there's enough guns in the game now that can definitely take out a 3 wound model in one shot. But yeah, so stealth suits, they're really. I don't value them that highly. I know some people that do. I know in our Discord when we've talked about it, it's you're spending 20 points base. If you take a Shazvray, you can take the target lock and marker light. The target lock basically makes it so you're a heavy. You can move and advance without taking the negative modifier. So that would make it 21 points. If you're just going for the burst cannon, the fusion cannon, which is really really strong, does a lot of damage and does D6 damage. And if you're within 9 inches, which is its short range, you get 2d6 and you take the higher one for the damage, which is really strong, but it's only a single shot, and you've got a BS4 model that possibly advanced, so it's -1, or if somebody's obscured, so it's a -1. So you're talking about a single shot, which is hard to hit on, depending on the model. And then some people will have invulnerable saves now, things like that. So yeah, again, I'm getting off track. I apologize. But basically, the stealth suit, I used it in one game and it did not do well. And I didn't use it again the rest of the tournament. And I'm thinking about it now, like I said, as a possible leader, because especially on an open board where people can bring in units with the new tactics, a Kroot leader might not have as much survivability if somebody drops in right behind him, or on a smaller board. I think there's the ability to screen for that, but a stealth suit that can fly and has a -1 to hit even in melee combat to him with a shield drone is a lot safer as a leader. So plus the fusion, like I said, could work well against the new multi-wound models that are out, but we'll see. I digress. I'll move on. So the stealth suit, the drones, pathfinders with rails, pathfinders with ion, and that was basically the list. So I know a lot
Okay.
of people who were,
Let me unpack.
yeah, yeah,
Let me
absolutely,
unpack.
absolutely.
Okay, so you went to
Oh,
play. Yeah,
really, really quick, I forgot the
sure.
most important thing, which a bunch of people don't like because it's swingy, but the only good reason to take a fire warrior, smart missile system. I took the smart missile system too, so
Oh,
that was
right,
on,
of course, of course.
which takes up 2 spots for the fire warrior and the missile system. But
Yeah,
I got two turn one cut off the head leader kills with it
that's
out of my 10
outrageous.
games. So yeah, they were
That's
not pleased, but
no, that's outrageously lucky. Jeez. Um, which, by the way, you can take up to two of if you for some reason wanted. If you also took a breacher, didn't notice any breaches on your list there. What's up with that?
yeah, cuz they're garbage.
Well, I'm
You
editing that
have
out. Whatever, mate. They are top tier. No, they're crap. Um, yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. That's not a serious question. Of course, you didn't have
Yeah.
breaches on the
No,
list.
yeah. I'd
Okay.
love to be able to take them, especially in arena. Like the
Yeah.
fluff is there. They look super cool. Their weapons like are I think the weapons they need to add a little bit of range to them, or they need to do something where they automatically hit, or like have different ammo, or they'd have to do something to them to make them better, because you either have to get extremely close for them to be better than a regular pulse carbine, or you are weaker than a regular pulse carbine if you're not close enough. So yeah,
Yeah.
they're just
Yeah.
not
Yeah. It's tough to get off that strength six AP -2 shot. Definitely.
really, really tough. I
Yeah.
think it's 2.5 inches for short range, 5 inches for long range. So yeah,
Yeah. Which is yeah.
yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So for practice for the tournament, you went to Biranid's local store. Did you play against the man himself?
No, I did not play against him in the tournament before
Because he
BAO.
heard you were coming and he was like, "No way. I don't want to lose that badly."
Actually, he won the tournament. He went undefeated with his Death
Oh,
Watch.
okay.
Yeah, he did really well. I went 1 win, 1 loss, and 1 tie actually.
Oh, okay.
It was only 3 rounds. It was a small tournament. There was, I think, 6 of us, something like that. It was really small, but I needed to play on an arena board. I had never played on an
Right.
arena board before. So again, I don't own it, and I don't really have any friends who play. I have some friends that are interested, but they're also kind of slow to get going, and they're not that interested in the competitive side of it.
Sure.
So they're more interested in, like, yeah, just wargaming and playing like some of the fun campaign type stuff and the fluff of it all, which is cool. And that's absolutely, I get that side of the game. But yeah, so I went to Beernid's store. I didn't get to play against him in the tournament, but just this past weekend, I went and played against him at the store as well. We played 2 games. We played one 100-point game and in arena, and I lost to him. I think it was like 14-8. Those frag cannons. He took 3 frag cannons. Man, those things are terrifying in close range. Uh, but then we played on an open board, and I was up 8-1 and had killed 4 of his 6 models uh, in by the end of turn 2. So we just called that game. Uh,
Oh, nice.
so
Nice.
yeah,
Uh, yeah. Side note about frag cannons. Outrageous.
yeah,
Outrageous.
terrifying.
They are still one of the best weapons in the game.
I
Despite all the
think the
theory crafting people have done, they're still really good, and you should still take them.
Yeah, they're absolutely, like, everybody talked about that, like, oh, 4 frag cannons, like, that's a joke list and all this kind of thing. He took 3 frag cannons and 1 Infernus heavy bolter, and
Yeah.
so he has all these things that can auto hit me within 8 inches, and I'm
Yep.
playing in arena, and we were playing on a short board, and it's like I couldn't cover the lanes, and I tried some some tactics and some things, and I couldn't get in on them.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, it was rough. It was rough. Those things are scary, really really scary. 2d6 auto hitting shots.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
absolute insanity. I think they're like strength 9, like -2 AP or something insane like that.
If they're using the also hit template, they're strength 6, AP -1. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
it,
either way, they're scary. They're
it's
scary.
outrageous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you played in Birinid's local tournament, and
Yeah.
you came
I came 4th, just out of the
fourth.
top 3.
Okay,
Didn't get a medal. Yeah, I wanted
and
one of
that
those
was
medals
your.
bad.
I still haven't gotten one, so yeah, yeah. Purely because nobody in my area has run a tournament where I can win one. Obviously, not because
Yeah.
of lack of skill. Obviously,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, of course.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, but okay, and that was your first ever time playing on Arena. And the reason for
First ever
that we
time
will
playing
get
on arena.
to in a moment.
Yeah.
But then you also practice playing on the game, Tabletop Simulator.
Tabletop
How
Yeah.
is that for Kill Team? I haven't covered that or mentioned that at all on my channel.
So,
But
um
how is it?
it's it's not terrible. It's worse than playing on a regular board, obviously. Playing on a regular board would be the best case scenario. One, because you're getting to hang out with your buddy and like, face to face, and you actually get to measure things. The other thing is it just takes longer on Tabletop Simulator because even after having learned the hotkeys and the moving and the camera and all that stuff and the dice and figuring everything out, it just you still have to measure, and then you have to move the model, and there's terrain that like bumps into the models, so you have to kind of there's it's very finicky, and then also depending on who you're playing against and how they're measuring, like, if you're at a table, it's easy to take a tape measure and be like, that's exactly 8 inches. On there's a tool to like give you a distance, but you can't bend it like you bend a tape measure, so you have to like do your few inches forward, then your few inches to the right, or whatever it is, to yeah, to move things properly. It's cool because my buddy who he plays a bunch of war games, and he's the one who I used to play 40K with back in middle school and high school. And he told me, "Hey, Kill Team's coming out." I didn't even know about Kill Team until November of last year. It came out in August. I didn't even know that it was a thing until November. He told me about it. His store was going out of business up in the Bay Area, and he bought me the Star Pulse box. And this was before I knew anything about whether the Fire Warriors are decent or they weren't. But he ended up coming to the tournament because he was going to play in the Bolt Action tournament, but it was canceled at BAO. So he came and he was playing the Heretic Astartes team. Gosh, I forget what he called his team, but he had a really cool team. He had made a tray for them that was like a display thing as well with magnets, and he's really cool. He knows the games and he plays war games a lot, so he's good. Even though he hadn't played a lot of Kill Team, he had a lot of those ideas and strategies in his mind. So he was somewhat of a practice partner, leading in to the tournament. But he lives up in San Francisco, so I couldn't play with him unless we played over Tabletop Simulator. So that was part of the reasoning for that. Yeah, it was cool. I can give you the link for the Discord for it if you want to throw it up on your channel at all, or if you don't, you don't have to. But there is a Discord for it, and there are people on there who will play games with you if you need to learn how to do the system. There are people who will help you. They have like a huge file with all the maps and teams and models and stuff, and you can just download that and then you drop it into your Tabletop Simulator folder. And yeah, there's instructions for all of it. It's a super good Discord. They set me up, they got it figured out for me, and yeah, it was cool. But obviously, after playing more games on an actual table, it's a lot more fun to play on an actual table.
No, definitely. It's something I do want to do a little tutorial for on my channel at some point. But yeah,
Yeah,
I should put up a link as it's been mentioned to their Discord there. Um, and then the other little quick note there is that you mentioned that it has an issue where you can't bend a tape measure. I actually, as of late, I'm not a tape measure bender. I
yeah,
like to use just you can buy a whole different range of different sized measuring implements. I
yes,
actually find
yes,
just doing straight by straight is more accurate, and
yeah.
I like doing
It
that.
probably is. I know a lot of guys were using those at the tournament, and
Yeah,
I've looked at.
yeah,
I've looked into a few of them on Etsy and things like that. I gotta buy one of those, especially the ones that are like within an inch, 3 inches, things
yes,
like
yeah,
that. Especially for savior protocols, for Overwatch, for
yeah,
my things like that, where I can just quickly, easily do it. No, it's a good idea. I plan to
yeah,
get one of those. I also definitely need to get one of those laser pointers that you can do straight down that does a line, like not a regular one where you aim it from the gun, but like from top down, it
yeah.
shoots a line. Oh my gosh, that thing was amazing.
Yes, yeah, they're I carry one with me at all times when I'm playing Warhammer. Not
Nah, just
normally.
bring it with you.
No.
Yeah, just
Um,
everywhere you go, never leave home without it.
but then you also find out just how many people are willing to argue about laser precision. Like, well, it's only a laser, light can bend, like you can. It's like, okay, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So interesting stuff. So Pyramid, Tabletop Simulator, TTS, and then I suppose the other thing that must be noted is BAO itself. The reason you had to play on an arena board, we're not going to go into it too much because obviously I'm going to have Alex Kill Team Academy on at some point soon, hopefully. We're
yeah.
going to talk about it more there. But is that BAO was the first tournament that we are really aware of, the first large tournament where you had to play alternating on arena boards and then on regular vanilla boards. Um,
Yes.
all using his own special rules pack.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, it was cool. Obviously, I mean, I won't say I hate arena. Arena's just it's a different thing. It definitely changes the way you have to play as a Tau player, because even if you use the close combat Overwatch tactic, if your other models can't see the model, then they can't use for the greater good. So it's yeah, it's or at least that's how it's been ruled right now. So it's tough to do for the greater good and get that Overwatch and all that kind of stuff that you really like, especially when people are blind charging you around corners. And obviously it negates the ability. I mean, there's firing lanes, 100%. Like you can set up in them, and they have to come down certain ways to get to your side of the map. But it plays a lot differently. I loved the tournament. The format was really cool, going back and forth. It was 3 arena and 2 standard each day. It was 5 rounds. So you started arena, then you went regular, then arena, regular, and ended on arena. Um, all of my losses over the 2 days, the first day I went 3 and 2. I was in second place before my final game. I lost that to drop, and I dropped to fourth place. Went 3 and 2. Both of my losses were in arena. And then day 2, I went 4 and 1 and only lost the final game, which was against Michael's Azariani, and that game was also on arena. So all of my losses were on arena. Yeah, I mean, they can win on there. Drones are still really good. There is lots of options, and it changes up the meta. I like the idea of combining the two. Um, like SoCal Open's coming up, and they're gonna have 2 separate days. They're gonna have one all arena day and one all regular terrain day. And I think my plan is to play. I'm definitely playing Tau on the open board, and I might play them in arena. But I haven't built a second team yet, and I know a lot of people are running multiple teams. I'm looking at possibly building another team just for the arena day. So
you're on a channel about Kill Team. We're all looking at building another team. There's no
yeah,
need
yeah,
to,
of course.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know you post a new one like every other day.
Why do
So
you have to, why do you have to say the things like that, man? Like, just let me handle my addiction in the way I want to handle it. You don't have to call me
hey,
out on
no,
that.
they all look really cool, and you do cool kit bashes and everything. Like I wish I had the time or creativity or like patience to do that kind of thing, but
Sure.
I'm just
I
like, yeah,
don't.
these are the models that I have.
Oh, okay,
So
well, I rarely finish any project I start, to be clear. You ever
yeah, but
notice how there's a lot of starter pictures I post? Where's the finished product?
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, to be fair, my Tau, I was painting them on that Friday night in the hotel room. My buddy helped me paint a few as well. I was trying to, because I just needed the 3 colors, um,
yeah.
done on them, and I you know, life gets busy, work, family, girlfriend, all that kind of stuff. So I just hadn't had a chance to do it. I had been, playing games was more important, and I barely had time to do that. So,
No, yeah.
Yeah, I got them painted in time, but they definitely need more work. But I see yours like you had the like lizard men,
Yeah,
gene stealer colts, right? And then you
yeah,
had the like yeah, you've had some really cool kit bash ones. I've seen people have done Skaven as well, which is really cool. Like somebody posted a Skaven Imperial Guard, I think, on the Reddit the other day. I'm getting off topic,
yeah.
but I want to build a second team, and I see some of the stuff that people do, and it just blows my mind. So.
Well, go for it. Let's keep this bit really short. What factions are you thinking of?
So, I was thinking about Azoriani, but this
Wonder
was
why?
before. This was well, okay. So I'll say two really quick things because you want
Okay.
this to be a quick segment. One is that I watched Michael's video. I knew about Azoriani. I knew what they could do. That was the one loss that I had in the arena tournament the weekend before at Biernitz thing. I don't know how people think they're a low tier army, even before elite. I do not know because they can run around, flip off walls, and still shoot you on threes. They have like really good grenades. They've got really good movement. Like that was my biggest struggle against them was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to this side of the board. Okay, now I'm gonna try to shut him down here. But when everybody can advance, there's no possible way to stop them from moving across a board or from changing objectives that they're on or shifting to follow what you're doing. So they're really good. But after playing against Michael twice and losing twice, mind you, the first day I lost, I was up 5-2 in turn one, and then I lost 20-5. I got absolutely destroyed by him. So day two, 16-12, I was happy with that. But after playing him twice and he's like, the big bad guy, not he's not a bad guy, but like in a campaign in D&D you have a big bad guy. Like he is that of our Discord, right? Like everybody wants to play him and beat him. So I definitely don't want to play Azoriani now cuz I want to beat his Azoriani with my Tau. Which I know I can do. Or I think I can do. We'll see. But I definitely want to play more games against him. He's a really good player. So no Azoriani. I'm leaning towards something that not that many people are playing, and so Admech's up there, and Gene Stealer Colts is up there as well. On the plus side, I bought the starter pack, and I haven't used any of those models, so I have models for both of those teams, so that's part of it as well. Yeah.
And that's good.
So.
If you wanted to go AdMech, you'll only have to buy 6 more boxes of Rangers so that you can actually have enough plasma shotguns.
Yeah, obviously
Yeah,
the guy who decides how many special weapons come in each box is a Tau player because Pathfinders get 3 rails and 3 ions,
I know.
and
That's
and
yeah.
every other group you have to buy bits or you have to buy multiple boxes or it's just outrageous. It's crazy.
Well, I recently made an AdMech roster and team, and I put it all
Uh-huh.
together. And yeah, I think I ended up with 4 different. Like I had to buy 4 um
Yeah.
boxes of Rangers because I
Hmm.
needed the plasmas.
Yeah, and you're only going to use 8 of those actual models or
Yep,
whatever. Like you're not going to use that many of those models and you bought
yep,
40 of them or something, which is
yep.
yeah, just yeah, and so that's the other thing is a lot of people who are playing also played 40K and had a bunch of models and things like that. And I
Yeah.
was coming into it from a point where I didn't have all that stuff. So that was part of why I didn't have enough drones for BAO to take more of them on my roster, or I didn't have, certain things that I would have liked to have had. But no, yeah,
So
AdMech's, yeah,
let's quickly talk about Tau then.
yeah.
You told us your roster, but that was because that was what you had. If you could have run a different roster, are you just saying you'd have taken most of it off and run drones?
I definitely would eliminate the 2 ions. I still hadn't had any time to, and I don't know
One
about,
question there. Sorry, that was another thing I'd meant to come back to. You said you didn't like
yeah.
the stealth suits or the 2 ions, but you also said the reason you didn't like them was purely circumstantial because
Oh,
the ion.
100%.
Okay, okay. Personal bias. Okay, that's fine.
So, I mean, it's one of those things, right? Like we discuss a lot of stuff. There are people like Biernid and other players who math hammer the heck out of things, right? They have so many charts and numbers and figures, and all that's good and well and great. But for me, and so again, circumstantial, right? I had the first day of the tournament, I had 2 turn 1 cut off the head leader kills with my smart missile system. And obviously that's super circumstantial. It's super swingy. You're rolling 4 dice on sixes. You have to hit, but With the new Sept, you're re-rolling ones, which was a big part of it as well. Sacia Sept is arguably the best Sept for Tau right now. It gives you a
We
plus
will
one. Oh,
talk about elites
yeah, yeah,
next.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So re-rolling ones is a big part of that too, but it changes where they can go with their leader. You'll notice, I mean, I don't know how much Michael uses his leader otherwise anyway, but in both of our games he left it back and he was basically down a model as well. Mind you, I guess to a certain extent I'm also down a model because I have to have the Shazla sit back there with him. I wish that you could deploy the smart missile system after you move like you do in regular 40k, but that's not an option. The tactic is available from the box and now it's added in elites for 2 points, but that's an expensive tactic just to reset up a model that barely hits things. So um, I really like the smart missile system. There are people who would not take it, who would rather take two other drones. Mind you, those two other drones, they can control the battlefield. They have two guns on them, so they can shoot two different targets, or they can shoot the same target twice and get two injury rolls on it, which is another huge factor of the drone is that it has two separate weapons on the regular gun drone. So that's really huge. But yeah, I liked the smart missile system. I know that it was circumstantial. Same with the ions. So the thing is, the only time that the one damage or the two damage on the ion is better is against Necrons because you're worried about their reanimation protocols. That's the only time. So if I'm taking two things on a 20-man roster that are only for one opponent, and then that opponent can use that ability anyway, because it'd be one thing if reanimation didn't work on single damage weapons, right? Because then it'd be like, okay, that makes sense. But I had drones getting injury rolls on them with the single damage on the pulse carbine. Oh, rolled a 6. I think I rolled 3 single damage 6s, for his reanimation in that first game that I played on him on day 1. So, in my mind, I was like, if and again, you only get -1 AP instead of the -4 of the rail rifle. I'd rather give him a chance at 6s for reanimation than give him a chance to save and not even get to the injury roll. Because as we talk about a lot of this times with weapons, you're coming down to a 50-50 chance at taking them out or not. So as many chances as you can get, um you know three injury roll dice is nothing to laugh at, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, so that was, yeah, I'm taking those off my list. If they're only countering one thing, I forget who talked about it. It might have been Michael. It might have been somebody else who you interviewed, but they talked about how you have to, when you're taking a 20-man roster, which is a huge part of the game that I love, because it is a big tactical part of it, and I like sitting there and thinking about lists and brainstorming things. How could this work? How could that work? Um, is that that's even if I only took one ion, that's one model on my 20-man roster that is only for one specific matchup. That at the end of the day, it's sixes if he's going to reanimate or not. So I'd rather have more chances at taking him off the board than less chances and still getting reanimation. So that was my thought process on that. Stealth suits, like I said, I'm kind of thinking about keeping one on the roster, but it really depends. Um, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I believe mathematically you're still better off doing 2 damage to a Necron over one,
Yeah. Yeah.
while
Yeah.
they still don't have any flesh wounds. So it's like, yeah,
Yeah. So and that's if you overcharge, you get the 2 damage.
yeah,
And the nice thing about that too was it goes up to 9 strength, which I think against their toughness 4 is puts them at a 2 to wound. So
right,
I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I prefer. I'll take the rail rifle. I'll take the
yeah,
3 up
sure,
for wound, and I'll take the -4 AP. In my mind, again, completely like I'll tell you this. I told you this, when I was messaging you earlier. I'm not, Biranit or some of the other guys who do the hard math hammer. I'm not the Michael who's going to play, 6 games a week against himself or whatever it is, that he does to prepare for an event. That's just like I'm going to practice and I'm going to play and I'm going to think about things and theory craft things. But at the end of the day, I like the smart missile system. It paid off in some games for me. It didn't in other games. But if I'm advancing drones and they're hitting on 6s as well, mind you, I know I said before they get 2 weapons, so they get chances to wound somebody twice, like or injury roll them twice. There's big things like that. But if I'm doing that anyway, 4 dice from my deployment zone, possibly sitting on an objective, making them hide models or models that they think are hidden, I'm still getting shots on. I I really like that tactic and I like the mind game of it too against my opponent. The Astra Militarum player who got second place the first day, I beat him on an open field. He had plasma spam. I my smart missile system took out his leader turn one, and then my advanced drones charged into his plasma from over top of terrain because they can fly, and then just caught up his guns, and I beat him that way. And then the Harlequin, when I played the Harlequin player, smart missile system turn one killed his leader. That game was pretty much over. You know what I mean? He had some he had some really rough. He had two. He re-rolled a charge. He got a 6 on his charge with 3 dice, and he re-rolled it and got a 6 again, and that really helped me out too. But yeah, nah. I mean, it's circumstantial, but I also only have so many games under my belt, so I'm looking at things that have worked for me so far, and what felt good or what played, better in my mind. What made me feel better too about how things went down. So.
Did you ever find the SMS useful in Arena, or was it only ever useful on vanilla
Um,
boards?
so it's 100% more useful on an open board,
Yep.
because you can hit anything anywhere basically, depending on where I mean, it's really hard because it's only a 30-inch long board to set it up somewhere that you're not going to be able to hit something. Um, in Arena, however, because of the way things work and because of the way, so it depends on the doors and stuff. I had one or two opponents. There were people there who were newer to Arena like myself, who didn't close doors to save things, and I was able to get some shots on them. Um, Other opponents knew better and watched when I measured the 30 inches and would try to stay out of that range. Um, I had one situation where somebody charged it and I moved the Shazlaw away and it disappeared, so that model was left out there in the open. Which shout out to I think it was JJ Max in our Discord. He actually talked about that happening in one of his games. So the moment somebody charged that thing, I like thought of that and I used that same tactic to leave, because the when you move without of 2 inches of it, it just disappears and it doesn't count against you as far as a model removed. So if they kill it, it does. But I just moved away, the thing disappeared, and his model was all of a sudden sitting out in the open and couldn't do anything and got shot at. So
So to clarify, because that is a fun little thing that again I saw
yeah,
JJ talk about. So if your whoever it is that owns the turret, let's say a fire warrior, gets
yeah,
charged, or they can charge both the fire warrior and the SMS turret, I suppose.
yeah. That
Uh,
that would be the better way to go. If you can get in between the two of them, then yeah, he can't. But
yeah.
yeah,
So what
so
happens is your opponent charges, and as a
mhm,
reaction, instead of overwatching with your fire warrior, you fall back 3 inches because that's the most you can fall back, which hopefully will take you out of distance of the SMS turret, make it instantly despawn.
yeah.
However, your opponent no will have to have made it into range
So
of
it
the
depends on
fire
if they
warrior.
Yeah, it depends on if
Yeah,
they charge both models or not. In this case, they only charged my smart missile system. The Fire Warrior was 2 inches further back, which would have been a really long charge.
yeah.
So, or 1.9 inches. He had kept him within 2 inches for it or whatever.
But doesn't the
But he
SMS
was far
turret
enough.
go away as soon as you move out of 2 inches?
Yeah, yeah. So I wasn't out of 2 inches. I was
Oh,
one.
okay,
I was within
right.
the 2 inches. He only charged the smart missile system though.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So
I
he charged that, and then he was in combat with it. He
yeah,
got in on the charge. And then on my movement, since he had initiative, on my movement, I just walked away from it with the fire warrior, and the thing disappeared, leaving the model out in the open. So yeah,
which is pretty cool. Which is pretty cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
But as you mentioned as well, if you do the retreat, if they put it onto both models and you do the fallback or yeah retreat, whatever, the 3 inches will get you away from the turret, and that'll disappear. So their
yeah,
charge will have to go into the fire warrior. So
yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, now you're a player that goes a bit more by gut, as you say. Obviously, I've had people on before that were very remarkably good at remembering all
yeah.
of their games, which I couldn't do. Uh, did you want to go over like some individual games, or did you want to do like highlights of games, or
We can go over some games. I have
okay,
I have all my points and stuff listed here.
okay,
Yeah, like I said, so day one, I definitely learned a lot from day one. I went 3-2, which put me in fourth place. I think I was tied with the third place all the way to sixth place on record, I think. But I had the more points over the people right behind me. But I didn't have enough points to get the top three, which I would have liked, obviously. But fourth was good considering it was my first tournament and my, you know, I had studied the packet, but I think I had picked some secondaries that weren't as good as I could have done. So I learned a lot from that. I learned a lot from those games, especially watching certain people play and how they played and what they were doing and what secondaries they were taking. If I finished early and I was able to watch the game that was on the stream or things like that. So that was really helpful, and I think that's what kind of pushed me over the top day two to get where I did because I think day one I only had one game where I really got like a high points, and my highest points still wasn't even a max score, and you could get over max score at BAO. It was so 18 was max score, and then the bonus for each mission counted above 18, so you could get up to 21. So I actually never broke 20 the entire tournament. Because there was always a situation where you choose secondaries that you think you're going to be able to get, but if the game changes on you and you're not able to get them, you just got to roll with the punches and kind of, do what you can do to negate as many other points from them as possible. So, but that day two, I had two scores of 19, which was really good for me. That was the biggest thing was I knew I had to win because some of these other teams, the Azuriani, for instance, or I know the Astra Militarum guy, they were scoring 20 points on like a lot of their rounds. So they were getting very high point scores. So,
Quick
um,
question, actually. Sorry to jump in there. We
yeah.
probably should have covered the what was the meta looking like? What teams were there? What
Um,
wasn't there?
yeah, there was no orcs.
Right.
Um, there was no Tyranids as far as the meta list as we know. The guy who had Tyranids there, he was a 40k player who plays Nids normally, but he hadn't brought his kill team with him. He plays Custodes in 40k. He's on the Discord now too, but he bought a secondhand army at the Frontline Gaming store of he brought I think it was 3 Raveners, 2 warriors, and 2 gaunts was his list, and he just had the single list, and that's what he ran the whole time because that's what he had. Mind you, he beat the Azuriani on an open board. That was actually I was so scared going into that. That was my game four. I was at 3-0 in day two. That was my fourth game because he and I were both 3-0. Um, and I beat him 19-5, I think it was, or 19-4,
Hmm.
and it was just because he had all these big bugs that he couldn't hide, and I had set up my rail rifles and my drones in an arc on my side of the map to make it so that basically if he charged anything, I was gonna get at least like 2 or 3 for the greater good as well as my regular Overwatch kind of thing. So yeah, I think he was a little bit overly scared of the for the greater good, but yeah, so day one, I learned a lot. I actually tied my first game. It was against my buddy who plays Heretic Astartes. We had played each other on that same map and mission the night before because we Alex wanted to test out the stream, and we actually rolled a dice and it gave us that mission and it gave us that board. So we played on that same thing, and I used the exact same strategy and he changed up his strategy. So I almost lost that one, but we ended up tying, and then since I had more objectives in the final round, I won that one. That was a close game.
Roughly, what was his list?
He was doing cultist spam,
Yep.
but he was not a optimized cultist spam. He's really big on fluff and stuff like that. Like he plays a lot of bolt action, so he likes like the World War II like kind of idea of an army. So he didn't take as many Marines, and he was running his aspiring champion, I think, with a bolter instead of with like the melee and stuff like that. He was
Okay.
running it as a and he had some flamers in there. He had other stuff. It was decent. He did pretty well in some games, but he was also running them as Slanesh, which I know everybody says run them as corn because then you can use that. They only have 4 tactics, and one of them is corn only. So if you want to play Heretic Astartes right now, you kind of want to play corn. So
So he didn't take a Corn Berserker or a Possessed then?
oh no, because he
Okay.
didn't he didn't he was not prepared for elites at all. So he
Okay.
knew that it was coming. And I had gotten the book. He hadn't gotten the book yet. He looked at it, but he didn't have any of that stuff. I don't
Okay.
know if he plans to continue to run them and look at other options for that. I don't think so because again, I think he really liked the idea of like running all these cultists as like a kind of like a battalion of like troops from like a World War II or something like that. Like he likes the underdog kind of model.
Right.
Um, Bluff wise, yeah. So that was a rough start for me, but he played that. Yeah, what else did we have? We had the Astra Militarum Plasma Span. He brought a Bulgrin, but I think he only used it one game, and he just didn't like the way that it ran, so he didn't
Mm.
run it any other mission. Azuriani was there. Necrons, there was 2 Necron players. We had a Space Marine player who was playing as Blood Angels, and he was running like the infiltrators and things like that, which is where we all found out that, oh wow, the new Astartes infiltrators, it's not a tactic that they get to set up within 9 inches. That's part of their, that's part of
That's
their,
their kit. Yeah.
that's part of their kit. So he set up and like turn one, he already had 3 objectives on arena or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he could
Yeah.
block doors or do things like that. So that was kind of interesting. Nobody had seen that before. I'm sure people had theory crafted it. We had a Harlequin player. We had a um, Death Guard guy, but he was not. He was running like the old type of list, which was like the flail, the like I think 5 Marines, and then a handful of like a very small amount of Gellerpox, or I mean, sorry, Poxwalkers. So he wasn't running the Pox spam like Elliot runs that
Mm.
decimated at Adepticon. What else was there? There was a Gellerpox player. Not Chris. Chris did play one game, day 2, when we needed
Okay.
a ringer for one of the rounds.
Mm.
But he was playing in the Age of Sigmar tournament. So
Oh, okay.
since his Gellerpox, and then his second team was I think uh, Thousand Suns, and then his third team was Drakari, and all 3 of those teams kind of got screwed with elites. So he wasn't really feeling playing them. So
Highly debatable. Highly debatable. But
I
okay.
mean, at 100 points, I mean, well, so okay. First of all, Gellerpox got nothing, so they definitely got
They
screwed
got
on
screwed.
elites.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
fair. That's fair.
1,000 Suns, if you want to take advantage of their one subfaction option, you have to take a Terminator,
So
and then
I was the biggest proponent that Thousand Suns got screwed.
yeah,
However, I don't
uh
know,
huh,
man. I don't
yeah.
know. Like,
I mean, I don't play them, and I've never played against them, so I can't say, right? Like, I think there's a Thousand Suns player in at Beernid's store, which is pretty cool. And so
yeah.
SoCal Open is going to be 125 points, so that's what we're looking to practice a lot more of. And
Even
that,
even at 100 points with Thousand Suns, taking your 2 guys and and a third rubric, you
yeah,
can still run a 7 model list.
okay. Hey,
That's not
it's
crazy.
not bad, but it's not it's not as good as the Gray Knights getting their
Yeah.
2 for just another model. You know what I mean? Like it's not
Yeah.
as good as that, and that's so I mean, I think that's the hard thing, is that it's a sub faction. Like the whole idea of sub factions is to give you different ways of playing a team. And the Thousand Suns sub faction is just like, hey, this is the only way to play this team to get this benefit.
I agree.
So that's
Yeah.
kind of rough. And then Drukari, I don't play them, but I know that like their combat drugs or whatever, like one of their sub faction lets them reroll their charges. But once you
Yeah.
get to turn 2, your combat drugs does the same thing. So they didn't really get a huge boost there. I know they got a bunch of cool new models, but I've never played Drukari or played against them, so I can't really say one way or the other whether those new models are going to be strong.
Drakari
I know
has some
that's
issues, but yeah.
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 So he didn't end up playing in the tournament, but he played one game, like I said, that second day because we were down a guy. What else was there? Oh, there was a Gene Stealer Colts player. He was running, pretty basic stuff. I think his wasn't that optimized either. I didn't end up playing against him. I played against Kill Team Stream Necrons twice. I played against Azuriani twice for Michael. I played against the Tyrannid guy. I played against my Heretic Astartes friend twice. I played against Astra Militarum once, and I played against Harlequins once, and then Gellerpox once. So I had three of my games each day were rematches, or of the second day, 3 of my games were rematches. So that was kind
Rematches
of
from
rough
the
playing the same
first day.
people from the first day. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because I played Heretic again, I played Necron again, and I played Azuriani again. So yeah, but day two, I felt a lot better. I had sat and we had talked after the games. We all went out to dinner. We had talked about some things. Mind you, people weren't like sitting there, going over my list, helping me figure out a way to beat them. But we were just idle chat about secondaries or about this or about what to do. And I thought about some of that stuff, and I went back to my hotel room. My girlfriend, she made me a I asked her to print out a few things, and she's a law student. She made me an entire binder with dividers and all this kind of stuff. So I had like the developers game dev like questions. I had the Q&A, like all the stuff was in there. And so I sat there and I went through my packet and I went through the my roster, and I just kind of thought of better ways that I could use the roster that I had. And I felt I did a lot better day 2. Yeah, some of the games just I did a lot better, but, like, the game that I played against the Gellerpox guy, it was the mission where to get the bonus, you had to hold an objective and not have an enemy model within 6 inches. But Gellerpox, he was running so many of those little models. I think he had, like, 16 models on the board, the bugs and the little guys, and it was impossible to keep any of those 6 inches off of that. They're all -1 to hit, they're all so I wasn't able to get any bonus in that. Um yeah, I beat Sheldon's Necrons day 2, but part of that was because we were playing on open board, and in both deployment zones, there was a second story that I was able to set up my pathfinders on and just cut him apart. It was like shooting fish in a barrel kind of thing. The score was still pretty close because he had models reanimating and surviving, but I beat him there. Yeah, that's pretty much all the games. The thing that that final game against Michael, which is, on the stream on Kill Team Academy stuff, and playing on the stream was also a bit intimidating, I guess. Playing against Michael's intimidating itself, and then playing on stream because I knew that it was all these people from the Discord that, we've been theory crafting and talking to each other and talking about it. And then like now it's, now I gotta put models on the board and like actually show something rather than just, talk about it. So that was a little bit intimidating, but day 2 I was happy with the result. I would have obviously liked to have beaten Michael and gone 5-0 and won the day. That would have been awesome, but I feel like second place was really good for that, considering, like I said, I didn't even know what Kill Team was back in November. I didn't even really know there was a competitive scene until LVO happened and I saw the stream on Twitch and then I saw your interviews. So I was happy with the result. I'm excited about SoCal Open. I'm excited about Las Vegas Open again. I'm hoping, because I've heard such good things about Adepticon, I really want to try that next year too. So I would say just this is more like an end of the video thing. I know it's not the end of the video, but just to anybody out there who like is playing Kill Team, obviously because you're watching these videos. Um, Maybe you don't feel like you are that min max or you're going to play competitively, go to a tournament. If there's a local tournament or if there's something close, if you live in any of the cities of these major tournaments, it's like $10 to go play. It's a lot of fun. You get in a lot of games in a short period of time. You get to talk to a lot of people who maybe they are playing min max. Maybe they can help you with strategies. Maybe you see things that you wouldn't see in your normal games against friends at home. It was a really, really good experience overall. So, yeah, I would recommend it.
Yeah, I mean, certainly when I've been to tournaments, which unfortunately hasn't been that often, I have gone up against new players who were basically just there to learn the game,
Yeah.
which is fine for me because it means it's an easy win normally.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of like, I mean, I don't want to say this. This is gonna be mean, but the Gene Stealer Colts player is the brother of the Astra Militarum player who's now in our Discord as well. Um, but he joked the first day that his brother was a free win. His brother lost every game except for his final game of the tournament, and he was so stoked to
Yeah.
win that game on the second day. But I never got to play him. Like I had to go up against Michael twice. I had to, go up against and I'm like, why didn't I get one game against the Gene Stealer Colts guy who everybody else is shooting off the table? Like, his brother, it was funny though. Like, I don't feel too bad about saying it because his brother was giving him a hard time there too. Obviously, brothers do that, but he was like, yeah, he's a free win, or he was like, yeah, I beat him already. So because I think the brothers got to play both days and he beat him both days pretty badly. So,
Oh,
um,
it's painful.
yeah, I mean, you can say that about pretty much any game, right? Like your opponent or the map that you're on. Like even in arena, there's different map layouts and they all worked for the different missions that Alex had designed. So depending on what board was set up, you know what I mean, like that could determine how you would have done against a certain opponent. Because if there's the middle room or if there's not, or like how the map is set up, there's all kinds of factors. But at the end of the day, that's part of the game, right? You got to be able to play on different maps against different opponents with the roster that you have and the mission that's there, and do the best you can do with that, which is again what I really, really love about it. Everybody talks about there's a meta list, and obviously there's certain kill teams that are better than other kill teams, but I think that there's a viable way to run. I mean, even more so now in elites, but there's a viable way to run every team. Like the Tau player that was at the tournament the week before at Biernid's store, Emerald Knights in Burbank, by the way, if anybody's listening and you're in the LA area, we want more players to play with. Um, but he was running a stealth suit and he was running fire warriors and pathfinders. He was barely running any drones. And I talked to him about it and I was like, "Oh, all these kinds of things." And he was like, "Yeah, I just, especially in arena, I like the bodies, I like the, hands that can open doors and things like that." And we talked, but he still did decently. He didn't win the day, he didn't destroy anybody, obviously, but depending on the map, depending on the opponent, like his team ran well still. You can still run it that way. Um yeah, and my buddy with the Heretic of Star Days, everybody says they're really, really low tier or that you have to run them a certain way. I even tried to push him to run them as Corn, even though they were painted as Slanesh. I was like, nobody's gonna care, dude. Just run them as Corn. That's the way to run them. That's the best way you're gonna have the best chance. But he was just like, I'm gonna run him the way I'm gonna run him, and he had a good time and he played him well, and he, like I said, he had the same amount of wins and losses as me day one. He just didn't have as many points. And literally, his first game on an actual board was the night before when we did a practice. That was his first arena game and his first game on an actual board. He had only played against me on Tabletop Simulator. He had built the models, he had painted them, but he was supposed to play with coworkers, and it just never happened because his coworkers played regular 40K, and they were too busy painting their models and getting stuff ready for the 40K tournament. They never really got to play Kill Team. So,
Wow.
yeah, I think any team is viable depending, obviously there's matchups that are going to be better favored one way or the other, but I I really do. I like the game. I like how it works. I like the things that Alex and some of the other TOs have done with the missions to make them more competitive or more balanced. It's a really fun game. It's super cool, and I had such a good time at BAO. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Um, yeah, so I probably should have asked this before all of that, I'm gonna be honest. But elites.
yes,
You played the Saucy set.
yes,
Tell us
best
about that.
sept.
Yeah.
So basically, the first thing that I did when I sat down and I looked at the sub factions, I went through them all. People were talking about the five up Overwatch, which is a pretty good option. But again, when you're playing on arena, you're not going to be getting as much Overwatch. If you're playing against a team that isn't trying to charge in on you, like another shooting team, like a plasma spam or whatever, you're not going to be shooting that much Overwatch. So in my mind, I just looked at him. I mean, obviously, when you look at it, you get plus Saucy Acept, you get +1 leadership, and you get reroll ones in shooting. It doesn't say in the shooting phase; it just says on all shooting attacks. So that counts for Overwatch, that counts for Figurator Good, all that stuff. You're rerolling ones, which is huge. That's huge. So,
Um,
but my
quick question there.
yeah,
Do we think that's gonna get FAQ'd?
it is possible
Because
it will, but I'm gonna play it as it plays
oh no,
until
yeah,
I
yeah,
can't. You know what I mean? Like,
100%. That's
uh,
how it's written.
it's so here's the thing. It's possible that it gets FAQ'd, but if they FAQ that, they're gonna have to FAQ a bunch of the other sub factions that do similar things. Because there's definitely other ones
Mm.
that are as powerful or worded in a way that makes them seem. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I only say it with that one because they also, as you just said, have another sept that very specifically lets them Overwatch on fives. So it seems weird to then get two that do that, but one be objectively better because you get something else as
oh,
well.
no. Sacia doesn't let you roll Overwatch on five. Sorry, I don't know if I miscommunicated. It lets you
Oh, what does it do?
reroll ones. It lets
Oh,
you
reroll
reroll
ones. Oh,
ones.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. But
That
it's
makes a
all
bit more
shooting.
sense. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's all shooting though, because some people asked,
Yep.
"Is that just during the shooting phase?" But no, it's all shooting, so it counts for Overwatch.
Mathematically,
Yeah,
that's completely different from hitting on fives. Yes.
yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Cool.
All right, sorry, I might have said +1 instead of reroll one, so you might have thought that was a +1 for the fives or something.
Maybe
I
I'm
apologize,
tired. I
but
don't
yeah,
know. But sure.
yeah,
Keep going.
yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough. Yeah, so Saucy Acept, I looked at all of them. I mean, it's not hard, right? If you're looking at it objectively from a competitive mindset, the biggest thing in my mind was what sub faction is going to help me more time, like what am I going to get the most worth out of it, right? If you're only getting that five plus for Overwatch, that's only when you Overwatch. The Saucy Acept, if you look at all of them, it gives you +1 leadership just across the board, which is huge, because somehow drones are mechanical, but the Tau have decided to install you know, some sort of feeling receptors inside the drone, so they can get shaken and get scared and not be able to shoot. So same with my missile turret
It's
somehow.
true AI, true AI.
Yeah, yeah,
The way it
yeah,
should
yeah.
be.
It's got
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Um, so my drones and my missile turret of all things can somehow be, you know, be broken. But
Makes
so
total
the +1 to
sense.
leadership, yeah, +1 to leadership across the board super helps with that. I've only broken once in all my games, so I mean it's tough to get broken as Tau anyway. But that Sasia Sep definitely helps like it not happen. Um, I've definitely had models get shaken though, uh, and then the reroll ones is just yeah, like I said, it's big. Especially that was part of the using the smart missile turret as well. I'm rolling 4 dice on sixes they hit, but I reroll ones, so that's an even that's rerolling ones is just so great. I love it. Like there's points where I it's so funny though because there was a bunch of times where I buffed my rail rifles either with the comms or the sniper bonus. I still took a sniper rail because you can use the tactic for the +1, which is big. He doesn't get it. Reroll ones doesn't really matter as much now with the Sasia, but the tactic is pretty good. So whether it was that tactic or the recon drone or the comms buff, I buffed him, and I'd buff him to the point that he's hitting on threes, re-rolling ones. All I don't want to see is twos, and I roll my dice, and what do I find? Twos. You know what I mean? So uh, it's good, but you can still definitely find ways not to hit things. I think I had on that first day, I had one round in the shooting phase. I think I shot 20 shots and I didn't wound a single thing. 20 plus shots got off. I didn't wound a single thing. It was rough,
That's a
but
bit crazy. Yeah.
yeah. So it happens though. So. Yeah, so Sasia Sept. That's it's the best Sept for Tau, in my opinion.
Okay.
Uh,
What
that
about
one,
what about any of the others? Like, or is it just clear cut? You take saucy set.
it's pretty clear cut.
Okay.
You could like if you're playing a single game against a single opponent, like if I was gonna play a game against Tyrannid and I know they're gonna be charging me and it's on an open map where I know I'm gonna get Overwatch or something like that, then I might take the fives and sixes on Overwatch for the Tau Sept. Um, But, like, there's the one I gotta pull it up right now because it's such a joke. I was saying in the Discord the other day, I was looking through the books and in the arena book and in all these books, they show breachers and fire warriors and all these pictures that are Tau related,
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah.
they obviously don't play the game, because they even in the announcement for the sub factions when they talked about the
They
Tau.
called out the breaches saying, "Oh, you
Yes,
breaches are viable
yes.
now."
It's
Nah.
reroll hit and wound rolls of 1 for shooting attacks made by models in your kill team that target an enemy model that is within 6 inches of the firing model. So they reroll ones on wounds and hit. But if I take Sasia Sept, I'm already rerolling ones on hit. And if I'm that
Yeah.
close to them, then I'm gonna have what, a strength 6 weapon anyway. So my wounds are gonna be pretty decent.
Yep.
Like it's just it's not it doesn't even compare to the Sasia Sept.
No.
The other one that was kind of cool, was the, what was it? Is it Viorla? Yeah, Viorla. I think I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Viorla Sept. That's where the models in your kill team can shoot rapid fired weapons as if they were assault weapons. So when you think about the fact that you could advance or you could, do certain things with a rail rifle and then still fire it, that could be cool. But again, I think that's really situational and it's just not as good because in most cases you're not going to be doing that anyway. So yeah.
But that particular set didn't make you think, you know what? I'm going to drop the drones. I'm going to go all fire warriors, and they're going to, be able to run around the board, advancing the whole time. No.
So okay, he's advancing the whole time.
Yep.
It turns it into an assault weapon. So if he's advancing, I'm still taking a -1. So now he's hitting on a BS of 4 or BS of 5, right?
Yep. Same as the
You take so
drones,
I'm now so now
except the
yeah, but
drones
so
would
now
have
I'm hitting on a
advanced,
BS
and
of
so they'd
5.
be going
Yeah.
on sixes.
Yeah, yeah. So now I'm hitting on a BS of 5, but it doesn't turn my rapid fire 1 that would normally shoot 2 times within 15 inches into an assault 2. It turns it into an assault 1. So I'm getting one shot at 8 points. I'm getting a 4-up save, which is the same as a drone. I can't fly like a drone can fly because fly even in arena is pretty good because you can move over combat and through other units. It doesn't matter. Um, so I'm not getting that, and then I've got one shot instead of 4 shots on two shots on 2 different weapons. You know what I mean? So There's just no way, even taking a specific sept, that you're going to get a fire warrior or a breacher for that matter to be better than a drone. It's just not going to happen. Even a pathfinder. It's just, yeah, I don't know.
I agree. Yeah.
I
Um,
wish, I
yeah.
wish, I
If
wish
it
so
turned
much.
into an assault 2, maybe we could talk. But yeah,
Yeah,
no, it's an assault 1, isn't it?
yeah.
Lame.
Well, and so if you're going to do that, right, you're talking about fire warriors. If you're going to do that, fire warriors can take pulse carbines. Just take a pulse carbine on them. Why would you take the pulse rifle? Because the pulse rifle,
Yeah,
the only benefit is that it has a longer range.
that is
But if
true.
you're advancing anyway, you're probably going to be within 18 or 9 inches. Um, yeah, I
Drones it
mean,
is.
yeah, don't get me wrong. I wish that drones was not the thing
Yeah.
because the whole thing, like I got into 40K when I was in, I think, 8th grade, something like that. It was third edition. And I think third edition is when Tau came out.
Mm.
I forget. But all I know is I already had Dark Angels, and I don't even know how I afforded those back in the day because I did not have a job, and I know my parents weren't buying them all for me. Like I think it was birthday money and things like that.
Mm.
But uh there was no way I could buy a second army, nonetheless have the time to build it and paint it and do all this kind of stuff. So, but Tau seemed really cool. That's why I got into Tau when I started Kill Team. But I bought the box of Fire Warriors and then found out they're almost completely useless. And I was so upset because I want to be able to use Fire Warriors. Like that'd be really cool. Same thing with we didn't touch on it, but marker lights. Marker lights are
Let's
really
touch on it.
bad.
Let's touch on it.
Yeah,
Great idea. Marker lights.
they're bad.
Why does
Don't
no
use
one
them.
ever take them?
Well, I mean, so I get them for free on certain models,
But you don't
but
use them.
yeah, I don't use them because they're a heavy weapon, right? But then like I don't even know all the I'm pulling it up right now because I don't even know all the bonuses of them
Oh,
because the
oh,
bonuses
who cares?
the bonuses are so weak. And especially now with the Saucia Sept, one of the bonuses I think for having a marker light on, one of the lower bonuses, like for having one marker light on them or whatever it
Is
is,
now
is
you.
that
Is,
you get to reroll ones.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Which with the Saucia Sept, yeah. So one marker light, you can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks that target this model. So that's only a single model. That's a single model that I can reroll ones against. Oh,
Yeah.
but no, I have Saucia Sept, so I reroll all my ones on everything
Yeah.
anyway. So
So now to
there.
get any effect with marker lights, you have to have two marker lights that both hit.
Yeah, which so and then there's a tactic called uplinked marker light, and it's
Yeah.
2 command points, which is pretty expensive,
Oh,
and it's a D3
yeah.
plus 1 marker light. So you maybe get the full bonus, maybe you don't, and it's 2 command points. That's so
Yeah.
much for the highest bonuses. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks that target this model. So if you get the highest bonus, you're getting 1 extra to hit on a single model for 2 command points. Mind you, that's for all your models shooting it. Like if it's one particular, but like if you did that to a commander or something like that, that could be really good. But it's just not worth it for the amount of setup that it takes. The reason it works in 40K is because you have so many models. Like I think Tau, somebody in the Discord was talking about, they have like 50 fire warriors on the board or something like that in their regular 40K armies. So
Yeah, marker lights have not scaled down well. Also, because, no, don't get me wrong. If marker
mhm,
lights were an extra thing that you paid a point to take on a model, okay, interesting, I could
yeah,
go with that. But as I'm sure everybody knows, if they don't, marker lights, if you choose to shoot with the weapon, it very specifically says you are not allowed to shoot with any other weapon on that model,
yeah.
which is why it
I'd
is
even
truly useless.
Yeah, I'd even if they even made it so it was like if you fire the marker light, you take a -1 to your hit if you're firing with your other weapon or something like that.
Like a
Just
combi,
something
yeah.
to make it useful because the whole thing is it's one of those things that made like it's right there on the first page of the Tau stuff next to their tactics. It's supposed to be that thing that's like this is a cool thing that only Tau have. You know what I mean?
Tau have
Like
rail
you should
rifles, so
well, yeah, yeah, they do. But you know what I mean, though. It's like it's one of those things where it's like this is a cool thing that they can use marker lights,
yeah,
but I have never used one ever because it's just not worth it.
not even close,
Yeah,
which is a real
it's
shame. A real shame.
yeah, it is because
The
that'd be
other thing
cool.
to note about them is that a marker light lasts for the phase, not the turn.
Is it just the phase,
It's
not even the turn?
just the phase,
Oh, so
which
even if you
is
marker lighted
yeah,
some guy up and then he charged you, you wouldn't even get the bonus on your Overwatch or your for the greater good.
nope.
Wow.
So there you go. So marker lights Still the most useful thing in the game, I'm gonna
Yeah.
say, maybe.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like you know how in that Elite preview article they tried to address breaches, that they didn't try to address marker lights, did they?
No, they did.
That's
And
weird.
they tried to do the breacher thing, and then some people were like, "Ooh, breachers," and I was like, "No, they're still bad. They didn't address the issue. If they again, if there has to be some benefit to getting that close, and I know people are going to be like, "Well, it's strength 6 -2," but it's so close, and you don't get an instant hit with it or anything like that. Like if it
Mm.
was like, "Oh, you're that close, you're basically at point blank range, it's instant hit." Then that's, maybe you think about taking them. I still think they still wouldn't even be that good because you still have to get so close for that.
I
But
think that'd
like,
be super OP actually, but okay, sure.
really? I mean, I guess, but
In arena, you're
in
easily
arena
within
it'd be
six
pretty
all the
good.
time. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking within 5 it would be, but
Oh,
yeah.
within five.
So
Are they 5 inch?
the
The
short the
short?
sh-
They are,
the
aren't they?
shortest is
5,
5.
10,
It's
15. Yeah.
Yeah, 5, 10, 15. The 15-inch one is like strength 4,
Yeah.
0 AP, so it's even worse than a pulse
Yeah.
carbine. And then at 10 inches, it goes
It's
up to, I think,
5
strength
minus 1.
5,
Yeah. Yeah.
9 -1, and then it's 6 -2. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, within 5 inches, I could see that being like a good way to balance them out because there's still 8 points a model, and you still have to get in that close. Um, I don't know.
Okay. Well,
Maybe
I'll
that'd
tell
be
you what. I
OP.
will. I will theory. You know what? I will run that 8 points a bottle. Also hitting strength 6 AP minus 2 weapons. You would dominate,
Within
I
5
reckon.
inches. Within
Yeah.
5 inches. I would
Yeah.
definitely try it, but it wouldn't be the best against everything, right? You couldn't take them on a roster and then still run what you normally do on an open board.
Mm, questionable. Purely hypothetical as well, though. So let's
Yeah,
move
yeah,
on.
100%.
But
100%.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, it's an interesting point though. Why wasn't there a set tenet that improved marker lights? That would have made a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean that could have been
Uh,
the basic Tau one too, because that would have been
yeah,
like, all Tau use marker lights
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I
But
don't know. I mean, so here's the thing. For fluff reasons, it would have been cool, but I don't know what they could have done to buff them with a sept that would have made people
yeah.
use them. You know what I mean? Because you're still, like you
Well,
said,
maybe exactly as you said. Maybe it just cancels out
not being able
the
to fire
not
another
being able
weapon.
to. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, yeah,
Now, even if that's all it does, you're not suddenly going to start taking loads, but you will fire them
yeah, yeah.
because you've got it on
It's
some models anyway. You never
Yeah.
know.
I mean, you do, but I mean, again, right? If I was looking at that and I was like,
Oh,
oh,
but
cool,
then
I
you
can
take
fire,
Cecilia
I
Sept.
can
Yeah,
fire both weapons. But if I only have one marker light on my team, the most I'm going to get on there is one, unless I use the 2.2 command point
yeah,
tactic. So if I only have one on there and one makes it re-roll ones on one model, why
yeah,
would I take that compared to Sasia? No, Sasia
yeah.
is the clear best sept. If you want to roll something else, by all means. In certain matchups, there might be other things. Like I said, the better Overwatch if you're going against a team that you know is going to charge you a ton, that you'll be able to get Overwatch on.
Hmm.
That's awesome. But again, the reroll ones works on Overwatch too. So let's say you roll 8 dice and you get some ones in there. You get to reroll those as well for a chance at sixes. So I don't know. Like I said, they're the best, or they're the worst best shooting team, or the best worst shooting team. I like them. I like how they look. I think they're cool. I wish that because everybody talks about, oh well, they've got so many options, but most of those options aren't viable. It's rails
Hmm.
and drones, and those are your you know that's the bread and
Okay,
butter.
rails and drones, crisis suits, Kroot, elites.
Yeah.
What's good from the elites book?
Um.
What do you
Yeah.
what would you put into your roster? Now you've already
Um.
said Kroot for your leader.
Yeah. So you can take a crew leader. It's a good cheap leader that already existed before elites. They just put it in a book so people who don't have the White Dwarf magazine, which also we'll just touch on just because we're talking about Tau and Kroot are part of Tau.
Mm,
Kroot got screwed in elites as well because even beyond not getting a better
yeah,
model, the tactic that works for Kroot if you're playing Tau to set them up within 9 inches or whatever isn't usable by just pure Kroot team.
yeah,
And the Kroot don't benefit from the sept as well. Kind of like how the
right,
cultists don't
right, yeah,
benefit
yeah.
from Heretic Astartes, or I think there's a few other teams that have that kind of interaction. So
There
yeah,
are, yeah.
the Kroot don't even benefit from the Sept option. So Kroot, if you want to take one for that 6 point leader, go for it. The only reason, so Um, yeah, crisis suits. I haven't gotten a chance to test one yet. They're expensive, man. They're 32 points base. That's a lot
Plus
of
all the
points.
stuff. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that doesn't include any of the stuff. They don't get savior protocols, so you can't put a shield drone with them and save them.
Yep.
They have 3 wounds, which is okay, cool. They have the 3+ save, okay, cool. There's still a BS of 4,
Yeah.
so they're
It's
still
painful.
struggling to hit things possibly. And then if you want to take either of the options, either it makes it a 2+ save, or the option that gives them, I think it's a 4+ invuln, or it might be a 3. I think it's a 4+ invuln. Those two options are 10 points each. So that's a
Ooh.
42-point model before you've even got any weapons on it, and now
Yeah.
you only get 2 weapons instead of the 3. Um, that's so crazy. It's crazy to me too that the commander in the XV-85 suit goes down to a BS of 2, and I understand that he's a commander, he's in a better battle suit, all that kind of things. But I think that crisis suits should have been BS of 3. I really do. I think they should have gotten. You're in a mech. That thing can target for you. How does he not have a better ballistic score? But
It does seem a bit odd that that is only BS4. But
yeah.
I mean that's in line with 40k, I assume.
Yeah, no,
Is it?
yeah, it is. Yeah, I
Oh,
think it
okay.
is. I don't play them in 40k, but as far as I know,
Mm,
it is because nobody
mm.
mentioned it being different. The
Somebody would
only
have
thing that's
mentioned it, yeah.
different is in 40k, they can use savior protocols. That's
Yes,
a
of
huge
course.
part of Tau is running drones with your mechs.
Yeah,
So not being able to do that, now I've got this super expensive model that has the ability to hit just as well as anything else that I've got on the board,
yeah,
and 3 wounds sounds good, but with the weapons, like a Stardaze can take a las cannon now. If a rock cutter gets in there on him, or there's so many different things that could get in there and take out that crisis suit really quickly, right?
yeah,
Whether
yeah,
it's ranged or melee options. So I don't get savior protocols. They don't count as infantry, so I can't open doors with them if I play them in arena. So I have to
yeah,
take models that can open doors for them.
yeah,
The two basic builds that people have discussed so far, um, obviously, you'd like to take some of the bigger, better weapons, but they're just so expensive. The plasma cannons, which are decent, are actually only the cheapest weapon. They're at 3 points. Although I guess if you go as written in the book, the cheapest weapon is you can take 3 Crute rifles on a crisis suit
yep.
because they're listed under the weapons and there's 0 cost. So, makes him a little bit of a melee beast too because
Why not?
he gets the bonus. Um,
And they're strength 5, aren't they?
no, I think they're strength 4. I'm pretty sure they're strength
Oh,
4.
okay.
Now I gotta
Toughness
check,
5
but
then.
I'm
All right. All right. Still though.
yeah. Oh, no. Maybe they are. What are they? Let me pull it up. I could be wrong. Now I want to look. But
Okay.
the other thing that I was going to say is the other thing that obviously Tau have been. I mean, not obviously, but the one thing that Tau don't have, because for the life of them they can't install flamers on stealth suits.
Yep.
Even though burst cannons and fusion guns
Fine.
go onto the crisis suits, but they can't go onto the stealth suits. Oh my gosh, if I could take a flamer on a stealth suit, I would take a
Ooh,
stealth suit in a second. Oh my
that's
gosh,
fair.
those things can fly around the battlefield, -1 to hit them, and they automatically hit you with fire. Oh, they'd be the best unit that we had. Yeah, so crisis suit flamers. Take 3 flamers on it. And then that thing has like, just an insane overwatch, an insane for the greater good, an
Yeah.
insane, ability to take on the hordes, which is the current meta.
Yeah.
Um, Oh no, they're strength 5, toughness 5, wound 3. Weapon skill of 5 though. Still, even though you're swinging like giant mech arms at people, still a 5+
Oh,
for
okay.
melee. Yeah,
Okay. Which is fair, I guess. I mean, they're not meant
I
to
mean,
be close combat.
look, if I get it, but if the tower's so smart, like strap some blades to the arms of some of these suits and like just swing your arms around violently and cut some orcs in half.
I agree. To be honest, I don't think it'd be that difficult to do like a servo arm with like enhanced targeting capabilities. I don't think that would be difficult.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know
The
why they're
only
hitting
guy
on
who
fives.
the only guy who figured it out was Farsight, right? So he's got
Yes.
that sweet blade that I forget what it's called, but I love that model.
Well,
That's such a cool model.
heretical blade, if you ask me. I don't know. Don't know if we should be talking about that.
All right, fair enough.
I mean,
But
just
to be fair, my guys are
seems like he's
painted as
corrupted.
Farsight Enclave, so I like the fluff about the Farsight,
That's fair.
which
That's fair.
yeah. So
Awesome. No, yeah,
um,
yeah.
the only other thing, that I was mentioning before too is so when they did, I mentioned using the Kroot leader, but I've looked into using a stealth suit leader now to
Yeah.
possibly negate the deep striking and things like that coming after your leader. But again, I also even one, I think you can screen people from using those abilities. A 30 by 22-inch board isn't that big of a board, and if you
Yeah.
have an army like my Tau with a lot of drones, or with so there is at 125 points, I played with a list that can get me 16 models as Tau, um, which is like 10 drones, 3 rifles, a stealth suit, and I think I gotta remember what I forget the exact list, but I mean, it's a pretty mean list. At 125 points because that's going to be SoCal Open. But if I have that many units on a board, I feel like I can easily screen you out from getting to my leader. And to be honest, if you want to put 25, 30 points, however many points into reserves just to go after my leader, and then my rail rifles and the rest of my stuff gets to dominate the board, go for it. So if you want to come after, I honestly, I've said this in the Discord a few times. I think that, again, this is without any testing whatsoever. Don't take my word for it, but my gut feeling on reserves is that it's going to lose more games for people than it wins.
Okay, so let's talk about reserves in that case. Specifically at BAO, were
Yeah.
people using reserves?
No, the only person that I know of that used reserves was Sheldon,
Yeah,
Kill Team Stream with his Necrons. He used them against Michael's Azuriani, and what did Michael do? Michael screened him out, and it got to the point where he had to bring them onto his own deployment side of the board, and just to get them onto the board, because if you don't get them on by, I think it's turn 3. I
turn
mean,
three.
mind you, the
Yeah.
game kind of decided by that point anyway. But if you don't, I mean, it depends, right? You could get in a reserve strike, and it could be close on turn 3. But it's saying if you don't get them in by turn 3, they count as being out of action, and they count against you for not getting
Mm,
into the battle. So you have to be able to get them in. If they're not starting on the board, there is going to be circumstances where that is beneficial to you, right? But your opponent's going to know, like they're not going to be surprised all of a sudden this Terminator is deep striking in. They know that that's sitting on your board, that it's over there on the side of the board that you're planning on deep striking at some point. They know it's coming in. They know what that model is capable of. They can either screen around their leader or screen around their rail rifles or whatever it is. So let's say you spend all these points for this Terminator or whatever model it is, you deep strike it in. Maybe it can start within 5 inches of a model. If I screen correctly, you have to start at least with one line of defense between you and the model that you're trying to get after, whether it's one of my rails or whatever.
mm,
If you deep strike in a melee unit, it's not as helpful as deep striking in a shooting unit because you're not allowed to move with it, right? So you can't get into melee unless you have a tactic to do so. So you deep strike something in, it's got a big gun, you want to kill one of my rails. If I've got a shield drone sitting in with my rail rifle nest, you shoot, I save your protocol. Maybe I get feel no pain 5 up on that drone, so I've still got the shield drone for the next round of shooting, but I've also got 2 or 3 rails now that can turn and open up on your terminate. So I think, yeah, Sheldon's the only person I know that used it. I'm not trying to call him out. He had a rough time with it, but he tried using it just because he felt he had to do something different to beat Michael. Which I mean, that's
mm.
the only person to beat Michael over the whole weekend was the Tyranid player who brought the funky list,
Yeah.
and it was elite units that he had. I'm sure Michael hadn't really tested against as much. So yeah, Sheldon tried to do something different. It didn't work out. Part of me thought a few times like, oh, maybe I'll drop in some drones because I wasn't using the stealth suit and I wasn't going to do it with my leader for Kroot because I need the leader on the board to get the CP. Um, I thought about doing it with just some gun drones because you can just drop gun drones or shield drones and marker drones in. I think the recon drone can't drop in, and neither can like the grav inhib or some of those other ones. Um, but I thought about dropping in some gun drones, like, oh man, these will come in the back and then they'll shoot people up. But the gun drones move so quickly anyway, I can just advance with them turn 1 and they're almost in the same position that they'd be if I deep strike them or manta strike them, whatever the Tau version is. So we'll see, right? There'll be a lot of people testing them. There'll be a lot of people trying out different stuff. I honestly, though, like I said, my belief is that it will lose more games than it wins because you'll be trying to do something sneaky or something really, really tactical, but your opponent will see it coming because they see it sitting there. They know where you can bring it in. If they know how your tactic works, whether it's within 1 inch of the edge of the board or 5 inches of the an enemy model or 9 inches of their deployment zone, they know where that model realistically the area that it can go in. Even though you're not bringing it in immediately, they know within a certain part of the board where that model is going to come in and what it's going to try to do.
Yeah, fair enough. So I haven't played too many games where, yet, so I can't really
Mhm.
say, but so far I'm having a lot of luck with the reserves rule.
Okay,
It's
cool.
doing good things for me. I
Which
also will say that no one is screening me out,
okay,
by which I mean there is always at least one spot on the back or the side where I can get in that isn't on my
okay,
half of
yeah,
the board. So
yeah.
it might not be the place I want to drop. I'm not
But
dropping within 5 of his enemy leader and on an objective,
yeah,
but I'm doing something that I wouldn't have been able to do otherwise, probably.
okay. But so what team are you using it with?
Drakari.
Okay, Drakari. Um, I mean, so you've had luck getting it in. Has that model done what you needed it to do in any of the times? Like, has it picked up an objective or killed a model?
Yesterday, I dropped in one of my guys, like killed the enemy leader, and it was a plague marine.
Okay.
I was like,
I
yeah,
mean that.
I'd pay a
Yeah, yeah.
CP for that any day. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's super good. But and I mean, just again,
And the other guy contested
against
an objective.
okay, against the right opponent, against I've said this, depending on the board, depending on the opponent, depending on. But in your opinion, without throwing any shade at anybody, because however people play is however they play. If you're playing casually or if you're playing whatever, is that something you could see working against one of the better players in a big tournament? Like, would you get that same like, you know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't have gotten that specific angle. That was super good.
Yeah.
However, I'm sure you could almost always drop your guy in within, if like,
You'll get him onto the board
yeah, you'll get
100%,
him on
but
the
like,
board. Will it be
but
worth a
without that,
CP? Not always, probably not.
yeah.
And you probably would have been better off starting him on the board.
Well, exactly. That's the thing, right? If you're taking a shooting model, because that's what's going to have the most effect, because once it's, I mean, pending, right? There's some models that you can drop in just to get them a little bit closer.
Yeah,
But at the same time, why not just take a veteran spec on that guy and have him advance and then he's in closer for a charge as well, compared to, and it depends on which way you're running the board. If you're running it long wise, it's going to be lengthwise, it's going to be better because you're getting them further across the board, but also lengthwise that means it's a shorter board for me to have to screen on, right? Because it's
yeah,
only 22 inches
no,
across at
indeed,
that point.
indeed. I
So
do think that when it comes to the reserves, the only ones that I really genuinely consider putting in reserves are mandrakes. Well,
okay.
basically any of the models that you can drop 3 at a time.
Oh yeah, yeah, the 3 at a time is way better than the other
Outflank.
ones, 100%. Yeah,
Outflank is very, very questionable.
yeah,
Like as you say, the only time I do that probably is if I have a really slow model.
yeah.
But when it comes to, so what is it? Mandrakes, striking scorpions, drones, and scions are the are the four model types that can
Mhm.
deep strike 3 at a time that aren't Terminators.
Yeah,
Oh, and a bunch of Starsays, but they're all expensive. And I think
yeah.
those
I mean,
are
to be fair,
all good.
yeah. I mean, so here's the thing, and this comes back to which I've already talked about, is them having no savior protocol in the crisis suit.
Yeah,
If I could drop a 3 flamer crisis suit and like 2 shield drones with it into the middle of a horde team, whether it's orcs or Tyranids or whatever it is, and just have him light them up and
that
have
would
the
be cool.
shield drone to protect him, that would be amazing. But if I drop him in there and then they charge me and I overwatch and I don't kill things or whatever, you know what I mean? Then that model's just that's 40 something points wasted and he's dead on the other side of the battlefield.
Yeah,
And yeah, I would have been better off having him closer to my side of the board so that once the Nids got there and did charge him, that he'd have proper support from other greater good or, yeah.
no. Yep, I agree. I agree. Okay, fair enough. So we is there anything else you'd like to say about your matches at BAO? Were there any particular highlights, maybe? Apart
So
from your
highlights,
SMS
yeah.
killing 2 leaders. which is ridiculous.
SMS killing the leaders was the absolute highlight. Getting to play Michael and play on stream and meet all those guys was a big highlight. The Discord that you've set up and that you've developed is it's super awesome. I'm glad I got to meet all those guys. I'm glad you're going to be coming to. Well, I don't know. Can I say that? Is that not something I can talk about? Where
Yeah,
you're
no,
going
you
to?
can say that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that
It's
you're going to the
public.
SoCal.
I just
Yeah,
haven't
okay.
talked about it. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if Kill Team Stream was like planning
No,
to
no,
reveal it or something. I didn't
no.
want to, but yeah, that you're going to be at SoCal Open. That's really cool. That we'll get to
Yeah,
meet you and hang out with you.
I'm excited. Yeah.
Everybody there was super awesome and super welcoming. There was a few heated moments, with tactics and things like that and how things are worded or whether things hit or but or whether things could shoot certain things or whatever. But I mean that's kind of the fun aspect of it too, just the competitive side of it, because I had never been to something like that. Like I said, the tournament that I went to the week before was a tiny little one, and it was 6 players, and it was like a bunch of us playing arena for the first time. So um it wasn't the same atmosphere. This was really cool. Watching the matches was really cool. Yeah, the SMS killing people is definitely the highlight. One of the other highlights was one of my I have one drone that has he has a bigger antenna on his head. It's the antenna that came with the
Mm.
stealth suit drone. Anyways, he's like my leader drone to speak, because drones can't have specializations, but he's my fluff wise, he's my drone leader. He is always like first in and first to die, and I had set him up in a position where he was really only going to get one round of shooting, and I knew that, and I was going to use him to charge models to delay them to let me move up the field. Which is something I learned from day one, to just be more aggressive with some of those drones, even from the
Mm.
tournament the week before too. Because when you're trying to protect all your models, then you're not doing. They're there to die, right? They're 7 point models. They're there to
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah. So, but he actually got set up and he took out a. This was against my buddy who plays Heretic Astartes. He actually wanted to forfeit that game after turn one. It went really, really poorly for him. But
Uh,
one of my drones killed his um, demolition specialist flamer marine model with after advancing and using pulse rifles or pulse carbines hitting on sixes. I took out his
mm.
flamer and he was not very pleased. I felt
No.
bad, but it was also yeah. The
Yeah.
other the highlight, and this was something we talked about Pathfinders. Obviously, they're good for the rail rifles. They're good for the points cost. Their save is a 5+. It is what it is. That's why you run the drones with them for savior protocols. But another big thing is the tactic. It is called Recon Sweep. It's 1 point. It allows them a Pathfinder model to do a normal move during the shooting phase instead of shooting. That normal move is a 2d6 move instead of their normal 7 inches. However, I don't really use the 2d6 aspect of it, but I had a Pathfinder next to a door. In the movement phase, this was against the Gellerpox player. He had closed the door so that they couldn't charge me. And
Mm.
then in the shooting phase, I used the tactic to open the door. And because he has an army that has no shooting, he couldn't retaliate. But now there was models open, and I had 2 rail rifles set up. And I shot 2 rail rifles into his Nightmare Hulk and took the thing down using that tactic to
Oh,
open the doors, which I thought was like a really, really cool
that's pretty
moment for
cool.
me.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, mind you, I tried using that same tactic the other day against Biernid, thinking, oh man, he only has like 5 guys. So if we go back and forth and he passes and passes and passes, in my mind, I was thinking that his units passed, so they weren't going to shoot. But the reality is, you pass as a player, you don't pass as the
Yes.
model
Yeah.
itself. So, but I was thinking like, oh man, I'm gonna open this door and blast his frag cannon. He's not gonna be able to do anything. And then
Yeah.
I opened it, and then I realized that oh no, I'm opening myself to 2 frag cannons, 6 auto hitting shots or whatever, 46. And I was like, on second thought, I'm not gonna open that door. But I'd only ever really had it effectively work against a melee team,
Right.
because he
Okay.
couldn't do anything. But yeah, that recon sweep is it's a pretty cool tactic. It's one of the few that I find really useful for Tau because, like I said, the marker light one isn't that good. Um, some of the other ones that came in the box aren't that great either. They're I don't know, like the missile turret replacement thing is
Yeah.
2 points to replace something that
Yeah.
it it could be worth it, but it could not be worth it. It's just not. I'd rather re-roll like injury dice on a rifle that gets three, a rail
Yeah.
rifle that gets three injury rolls. So something like that. But recon sweep, it can be used. Let's say you move a pathfinder and he's just outside of an objective in the movement phase. The other player moves units off of that objective, just leaving one to hold it. All of a sudden, you can move a pathfinder onto there in the shooting phase, and now you're contesting that point. You can use it to open a door. You can use it to, there's all kinds of shenanigans you can do, and that's just why, again, for yet another reason, why would you ever take a fire warrior when you could have a pathfinder? So
Mm, yeah. It's a real shame. It's a real shame that Fire Warriors just aren't kind of good. I
yeah,
feel. I
they're
feel
not.
that's a shame. Yeah.
And no, I do too. That was the I my friend got me the Star Pulse box. Like that
Because you
was
get Fire Warriors. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and the Fire Warriors are the I played that game back in the day. If you remember that on PlayStation 2, I think it was. It was
Yep.
called Fire Warrior.
Fire
It was a
Warrior. Yeah.
first-person
Yeah.
shooter where you played as the Fire Warrior.
I
The
remember it.
Tau were really, really cool when they first came out, and I saw them. I just didn't have the money to play them, and I stopped playing 40K, and I never got to play them. I was super stoked. They look really cool. Their armor's really cool. They're like these, goat spacemen with like hooves. Their armor looks like I
Yeah.
compare them to like they're the Apple of the Warhammer 40K world because they've got all this clean white armor. They
That's
look all
true.
future.
Yeah.
Um, I like the clean lines. Everything looks cool with them, but then they're just not good compared to the other things that you have a choice of. Sadly,
That is quite sad. Yes.
yeah,
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. So, if you had, because we're coming up to wrapping it up now, because it's been an hour and 40,
yeah,
and I have to go to work.
yeah.
If you had any advice for, or I don't know, not maybe advice for new Tau players, but just hints and tricks for Tau. Anyone coming
Um,
into Tau for the first time, they don't have to be a beginner at Kill Team, but just new to Tau
yeah.
maybe. Or what are you most afraid of to face as Tau? Something like that.
Um, okay. So tips and things, I would say just be very aware of the 3 inches for savior protocols and be very aware of the 6 inches for for the greater good. Those are two really, really big things, right? Like if you have a drone, if you pay for a shield drone and the whole point is for it to protect a rail rifle from getting killed turn one so that he can get his shooting off, and then that shield drone is 3.2 inches or whatever it is away from your, he's useless. You know what I mean? So make sure check those measurements. And the other things is really kind of look at fields of view and try to set up so that if you can potentially set up in a way where every model at least has two models, one or two other models that can for the greater good if something charges them or something like that. That's really big. That's how I set up against that Tyranid player where he was really struggling to come in. Was just I set up like an arc. That's a big thing. The other thing is don't forget to use your recon drone, the bonus. I would forget that all the time. Uh, and then as far as what I'm afraid of, oh, one last thing to remember is that drones, since they can fly, they can fall back from melee combat and still shoot, which is really, really big. Um, which brings me to the two things I'm scared of. Howling Banshees, you cannot react to them. You can't even retreat from them. You can't overwatch them. You can't for greater good them. They will get in on you. They might not kill your stuff because they're not super strong, but if they get in and they tie up your rifles, then you might as well have killed them. You know what I mean? So Howling Banshees are scary. And the new sub faction for NIDS that allows them to charge after somebody has fallen back from them, that's really terrifying because I still haven't
Kraken,
played
by the way.
against,
Kraken.
yes, Kraken. I still have not played against an official like meta NID list, which is like the Gaunt spam or whatever. That terrifies me to begin with. But now the fact that the one major thing that I could do to like negate them super murdering me is now not as viable because they can just charge right back into me, which mind you, I'll get Overwatch again or whatever it is, so I'll get a chance at killing them, but it's not as good as, hey, I just dropped back from melee combat and now you're stuck getting shot by my rail rifles. It's, so those are scary. Yeah, just positioning, man. It's you're a shooting army. If you're in melee with anything other than a drone, you've done it wrong. So, yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. So I feel like I haven't been able to talk too much, like to add much to the Tau conversation in this one, even though I have a Tau faction army. Um, and I think Tau are awesome. But you know what? For me, this might sound weird. Once I realized just how good drones are, I don't like drones.
Yeah, I don't either.
Um, like well, you were saying you didn't like stealth suits. I love stealth suits. I think they're awesome. I'd happily run just a 5-man stealth
Ugh,
suit team. Well,
ugh.
4-man because I want a fusion blaster, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but I think they're cool. I think they're cool. Uh, don't get me wrong, they've never done well for me,
Yeah, yeah.
but
So that's the thing. Stealth suits are cool. I'm talking purely from a competitive
sure.
standpoint because that's kind of, you're interviewing me about BAO.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
no, I have them, and if I do get to play in any campaigns or anything this summer, I plan to use the stealth suits. I plan to use some fire warriors and some
Mm,
other things like that for the fluff. It's fun to do. But going to a tournament, you know, like I said, I'm not always going to play the top meta list. Like I'm not, there are people who have all these different 40K armies. They can bring Death Guard or they can bring Nids or they can bring, whatever it is that's top tier. I didn't pick Tau because they were top tier.
no.
Obviously, I didn't know anything about them when I first bought them because I bought Fire Warriors first, So I bought them because I thought they were cool. Then when it got to the point where I was going to play competitively, I was like, man, drone spam is the way to go, which just, it sucks, but it
Yeah,
is. So that's what I did, and I'm trying to mix some different things in there to make it less drony. But I did buy more drones so that I had the amount that I would want to have had at BAO that I didn't have. So I bought that. Um, and as far as contributing to the conversation, that's more on me because I talk a ton, and you were nice enough to let me sit here and talk a ton on your channel. So
that is the entire point of these interviews. I mute myself and you guys get to talk about stuff.
yeah.
Yeah,
So hopefully
awesome.
somebody got something useful out of this. But it was
I'm
fun to
sure
talk.
I'm sure someone did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, well, thank you very much for coming on. I will indeed be seeing you and everybody else that goes to SoCal when SoCal happens in whenever it is, October.
October 26th and
There you go.
27th
I'm looking forward to
in
that.
it's right north of San Diego, California, in Del Mar Fairgrounds. Go check it out.
It's America. I don't know. It's all one place
Yeah,
to me.
Southern California, man, it's the best place to be. You're getting to go on an American dream vacation, buddy.
Um, clearly you don't know how much of a taskmaster Kill Team Stream is. I'm going to be chained to that desk the entire 2 days. I don't think I'm
Yeah.
allowed to move. So.
Oh, you're sleeping in the war room as well. You're just
Yep,
stuck
he
there the whole
said
time.
no
Yeah.
accommodation. You stay right there. Stream, you'll sleep. Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. I think I'm going
Yeah.
to be really tired. I just hope my voice holds out for 2 days.
I'm
Uh,
sure you'll be fine.
let's
Mike,
hope so.
Alex was able to do it for 2 days straight, all on his own, pretty much. So I
Yeah, yeah.
think you'll be okay because you're gonna have him. You two are gonna do it together, right? You guys are gonna cast it together, I think.
I don't think I'm having him the whole time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know.
He might
I
pop
know he's
in.
gonna work. Yeah, I think he's gonna work the camera a little bit too. It's
Okay.
gonna be a cool setup, man. Also,
Yeah, yeah.
I mentioned both of them, but thanks again to you for having this channel and setting up this Discord and everything, but also Kill Team Academy and Kill Team Stream, man. BAO wouldn't have happened without the both of them together. It
Mm,
was Kill Team Academy set up and organized the tournament, and Kill Team Stream came in with all the equipment and had everything set up and all the arena
yes.
boards. That guy owns like
He
20 arena boards or something like that. It's
he owns a lot
insane.
of
So,
arena balls.
and he's bringing all that down to SoCal. Thank you to
Yeah.
people like them and people like yourself for, I guess, giving a place for this community to like thrive. Like, Alex casting at BAO, you casting at SoCal. That was him doing LVO was the biggest reason I got really really into Kill Team. My friend had bought me some of the models, but he lived far away. I didn't really have anybody to play with. I saw the LVO stream and I was like, man, this is really cool. I really got to commit and I got to do this. And then your channel and things, you guys are just, nah, you guys are the lifeblood of the community. Like there's a tons of players out there, but if we don't have a place to see this kind of content or the place to go meet people or the place, Discord to talk to people, like then the community, it isn't there. So
Thanks very much. I agree. I always say at the end of these. I don't know why I always end up saying it, but the reason I started this channel is because I just wanted to talk about Kill Team more with people. That was
Yeah.
all. And yeah, everything I'm doing is in aid of that. But obviously, people like I'm not the most active person on my own Discord, so people are obviously starting to get to know other people, and because I've also interviewed them on here,
Hmm.
I get to chat on there as well. Yeah, no, it's I like what's going on over there, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. And don't beat yourself up too much for not being the most active person on there. We talked about this at BAO too. If you go to work and you miss like a few hours, there could be like 100 messages in some of those channels, and there's just
Oh
no
yeah,
way to keep up with it. There's absolutely no
yeah.
way.
Sometimes I scroll through, but only if I've got time. Other times it's like, all right, well I missed it. Okay.
Yeah, pretty
And so I
much.
just don't know what's happened. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Awesome. Okay, well thank you very much, Utical, as we've decided to call you, for coming on. You've been the first Tau breakdown that's really happened on this channel. So it's awesome to get a few insights. I don't know if we really got anywhere beyond drone spam and rail rifles, but
I
that is the
mean,
meta.
that's yeah, that's what works. I mean, I
Yeah,
talked
yeah,
about,
yeah.
the grav inhibs and the shield drones. We
That's
talked a
true.
little
That's
bit
true.
about stealth suits. We talked about crisis suits.
We did.
I
We
mean, they
did.
they all have positives. It's just whether the positives are worth the points if you're putting together a competitive roster.
Exactly.
The,
It's
yeah.
to be fair, most factions suffer from that. I just feel like it's especially egregious with Tau, just because of
Yeah.
how. I mean, yeah, just because drones have fly, and is it 8-inch move?
It's an 8-inch move plus fly plus assault weapons so they can shoot and
Two assault
advance, and
weapons. Yeah,
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 and they can back out of melee and then still shoot because of fly, and they
yeah,
can
yeah,
go over, No, they're just, I mean, here's the thing though. If you nerfed them, let's say like you went back and you could go back to the very start.
yeah.
I won't go too long because I know you're ending the video here, but
Oh yeah.
if you were to go back and redesign it, like if you were the designers and you're like, oh, we made them way too strong, we're gonna go back. Like if you could go back in time and
Mm.
change it, you'd have to do something else
Oh yeah.
to to the team in general to make them more viable. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as whether it was making the marker lights better or doing something.
Mm.
I feel like to because if I have to take a bunch of fire warriors or pathfinders instead, the tower arguably a worse team.
Yes. Yeah.
So
There would have to
yeah,
be a balance. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, I'm not against the power level of Tau. I'm
mhm.
against the fact that there is an obvious list. You know,
Oh yeah, yeah,
that
for sure. No,
that's
I
my
wish.
issue.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I get that. I get that. I 100% agree. I know, like, some people are like, when people. That's why I didn't have enough drones going into BAO, because I was like, I'm not gonna buy more drones, and then like I had a decent amount too. I think I had 6 gun drones, and then I had a recon drone, a shield drone, and a grav inhib drone. So I had 9 drones
Yeah.
total on the list. But I think the list that Eric ran at Adepticon had, like, I think at the very least 9 gun drones, and then the recon drone to get him to 10 drones. So
Right.
like,
Right.
yeah.
That's a lot of drones. Yeah.
Oh, one final thing
Yeah.
to whoever it was who was calling me out on stream that I should have opened the door with the recon drone.
Oh,
Drones can't open doors. They can't do
okay.
it, or I would
Okay.
have done it.
Well, I was watching one of your matches, mate, and you did save your protocols a drone.
Did I? Which
Yeah.
one? Was it the first day match
In,
against Mike? The
can't
first day,
remember.
the one that I lost 20-5, I think.
Can't remember. But no,
Did I?
everybody on the stream chat was like, "You can't do that. You can't do that."
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
think Alex never passed it on to you.
Oh
Uh,
no, I mean, I
you
know
you
that you
lost
can't do
both
that. I'm
drones,
sure. I'm sure it
so it
was one
didn't
of those
matter.
things. I know that you can't do that, but it was, dude. I'm telling you, the most I had ever played was 3 games in a row that
Mm.
weekend before. Playing
And
5 games in a row, two
oh
days in a,
yeah,
or 5 games in a row, 2 days in a row, and we didn't call time. And like I
yeah.
was so exhausted, dude. Like mentally in that last game, like I was trying to make sure I did everything correctly. I don't think it was that last game. I think it was the first day's
No,
game against.
it was an earlier one. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So, but I apologize if I made rule mistakes. As far as I know, I mean, like you said, I lost 2 drones instead of one, right? So obviously it didn't work out for
no,
me.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it didn't benefit me. I
No, not
apologize
at
for
all.
making the mistake. it was just yeah. No, I don't think I made any other egregious mistakes against any of my opponents. Yeah, I know the rules. It's just, yeah, like I said, it was one of those things. Even for the recon drone, you're supposed to get a bonus against obscured to hit and for the injury roll. I One of the times I only did it for the hit dice. I forgot to do it for the
Oh,
injury
okay.
dice, but it was past the point. So I just,
Hmm.
whatever. I forgot about it. It it
Once you've
it
made the
happens.
roll, you basically have to move on.
Oh no,
Yeah,
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 100%. Which is, I didn't even tell him that I made the mistake. It was
oh,
just
okay.
one of those things where it was a mental mistake in my
Yeah.
head where I was like, oh, I should have. That model should have been off the board. I ended up winning the game anyway. Like, it didn't affect me, but yeah, the savior protocol thing. I'm sure I was just like, oh, I want to. Maybe it was the recon drone I was trying to save or something that would have
Hmm.
been beneficial to save. So, but I lost both drones. It sounds like, so it didn't
Yes, you
benefit me.
did. Yeah.
But I don't even remember that game. So
Neither do I anymore. But
yeah,
yeah, but I just remembered that. Which of
yeah,
course is the stream is great. So,
yeah,
it's definitely something that's enjoyable to watch.
yeah,
But anyway, we've come to an hour and 55, which is about the 2 hours. Did you
yeah.
have any final words that you wanted to throw out there?
Um, just like I said before, thanks to you, Kill Team Academy, Kill Team Stream, and the rest of the Discord and all the people in the community. Um, if you're out there, if you play 40K, if you play Kill Team but you don't play it competitively, pick up a team, go to a tournament, play some games. It's really fun. There's a really good community out there. And yeah, it's a lot of fun to play, good community, and just go to a tournament and play some games. Because even if you don't think you're gonna, like, I definitely second place, regardless of the size of the tournament, regardless of whatever. Like, I, in a million years, never thought that I was going to do that well, and I definitely. I mean, I've played some other games competitively. I had an idea of wargaming. I had watched a ton of your videos, a ton of videos, on YouTube and all that stuff to prepare, and played as many games as I could possibly get in beforehand, which wasn't a whole bunch. But it was just a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to going to the next one. And if I never place in a top 4 again, so be it. Like, it's just fun to play the game, and yeah.
Awesome, awesome. What's your next faction going to be? Hmm.
Well, like, it's AdMech or Gene Sealer Colts at this point. I really
Okay,
like
I
those
haven't decided.
those raw yeah, those saws look super cool, and but also I have to look into. I know Gene Stealers really didn't get much in elites, right? They only got commanders, I think. Yeah, they
They
didn't
they
get a
only got
single.
commanders. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't get a single new unit. AdMech got some new units. I don't think they're all that great though. The priests, the electric priests. I don't know if they're any good. I haven't seen them run yet, so I
I
don't
haven't
know
looked
what they
into
do.
them properly, I'll be honest. But
Yeah, and I think if you're gonna run AdMech, you run plasma spam. So I mean, that's just
well,
their most effective list at the moment.
they're
Yeah,
very good at it. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. It's an assault. It's an assault two plasma.
yeah,
Like, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Okay,
So
awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing whatever you next run, because presumably I'll be seeing it at SoCal. So that's
yes, that
exciting
is the
stuff.
plan. Yeah, Buranid and I are planning on playing as many games as possible. Leading into it, because he should be there as well. So should be cool.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you very much for coming on, Utsuko. And I will no doubt be talking to you a lot in Discord as well. And this has been Glass Half Dead and Utsuko. Do you want to say goodbye?
Yeah. Goodbye, and thank you for having me on.
Thanks very much for coming on. This is Glass Half Dead saying, hope you've had a great day. Goodbye, everybody. Cool. Um,